G'day, Payney here from Extreme Board Riders on Jetty Road at Glenelg, bringing you some more board reviews. So what we're looking at today is a relatively fresh board from Pyzel, the White Tiger. So this is probably one of the groveliest boards that Pyzel do, and it certainly ticks the box for some of our waves around metropolitan Adelaide in South Australia, where we can have some pretty flat reforming sort of waves. So the idea with this board is you're going to catch a bunch of waves because you're paddling fast and you're gliding through weak cruddy sections, and a lot of that comes off the rocker line of this board. So the rocker line is quite flat, really flat entry on this board, so it glides beautifully. Little bit of flip in the nose and a tiny little beak on the nose there, so it keeps a bit of foam down the middle of the board, which is sort of where we want to retain it. The wide point is about 1.5 inches forward of centre here, so that gives us that wide nose, and as your nose gets wider, generally that rocker line, the entry is pretty flat as well. Those two things combine and move forward in the board. So good glide on wave, good glide for catching plenty of waves. Foam distribution on this board is quite a flat deck, so a lot of foam down the middle of the board, so relatively flat across here. Not a lot of roll on this board, so keeps a fair bit of foam in that sort of foot across the middle of the board there, then rolls into a medium sort of rail. So we've got a reasonable amount of foam in the rails there, and that foam is designed to keep us gliding and moving in weaker conditions. Again, paddling or just lugging through, those shitty reforms you get down at Middleton quite often. So flat deck, easy paddling, quite an easy board to ride because it's not going to be massively responsive like a high performance board. So if you're an advancing intermediate surfer who wants something for the weaker conditions, this is probably going to be quite good. You stand in the wrong spot, you paddle in the wrong spot. It's got a pretty big sweet spot, so it's going to be quite forgiving and really easy to use, not super reactive. Single into a double concave, so lots of lift in this board. Concaves create lift, and then as you generally get into better and better waves, you reduce that concave. You don't want lift so much, you want more control. But as the White Tiger is designed for a little bit weaker conditions, we do want that lift. Now, some of these boards can be quite wide, 20 and 3/4 inches wide, 20.5 inches wide. And the negatives about wide boards is they don't roll rail to rail particularly well when you're doing that top turn, bottom turn combination. So on these boards and a lot of others, but it's almost quite visible there even without using the straight edge on it. This board's got a lot of V through the fins, and that helps that board roll rail to rail. So that's going to help the board be more responsive. Wide board, really good for gliding, super forgiving to ride, but a little slow rail to rail. So that V helps that board roll from rail to rail. So that's your concaves, that's your foil, that's your rocker line. It's an Australian-made PU board, so you can do customs on this. You probably don't really need anything more than a 4/4 deck on this. So 2 layers of 4 on the deck, 1 layer of 4 on the bottom. That's about all you need. Remembering customs take about 6 weeks perhaps, and a few days of freight to get down from manufacturing in Queensland. One thing I do like about the White Tiger is it's a 5-box setup, so it's really versatile. Use it as a thruster if that's what you feel like, and if you're just using it as a stepping stone board, stick to that as a thruster if that's what you had in the past. But in weak waves, riding this board as a quad is going to be really good. Going to create lots of drive, a lot of speed, weaker conditions. They still pivot pretty good. They actually do release when you push them nice and hard. And the potential, of course, is to any of these box setups like this with 5 boxes, you could use as a 20 with a trailer. But quad and a thruster is probably the way to go. So there it is. That's it. The Pyzel White Tiger in stock at Extreme Board Riders now. Come and check it out. I'm sure you'll have a good time on it.